Tesla Cybertruck is finally here. It may be a couple years late, it may not have arrived with all the specs we were promised, but that doesn't mean it can't be an outstanding electric pickup truck in its own right. Now, I haven't had the opportunity to drive one yet. That should happen soon. But today I'm going to talk to somebody who has. In fact, he's probably driven the Cybertruck more and tested it more than anybody outside of Tesla's employees. We're going to talk Cybertruck Range, Cybertruck Charging, Cybertruck Driving dynamics, and then we're going to compare it to the other electric pickup trucks available on the market today. So if you're into Cybertruck, you're not going to want to miss this one. So I'm here today with my good buddy, podcast mate, Kyle Connor, who is the creator and host of the Out of Spec family of YouTube channels, some of the best automotive, general automotive, because he doesn't just do EVs, mostly electric stuff, but he likes to play with gassers every now and then also. But some of the best content on the internet. I love what Kyle's doing over there. And Kyle had exclusive access to some Cybertrucks recently. Very few people outside of the people that have taken delivery of these have really had the amount of seat time that Kyle has had in Cybertruck so far. So he's agreed to come on State of Charge here today and chat with me about his experience, because he has done so much with these vehicles so far, so many tests. So we're going to chat all about it today. I'm going to get Kyle's overall opinions. And I have to tell you, I have a reservation and I could order a Cybertruck now. I got the email to order it. And after watching all your videos, I don't think I'm going to go through with it. Maybe you'll tell me to change my mind at the end of the video. But where I'm at right now is I think I'll rent one for a week to have fun, do some tests and videos. But I don't think I'm going to buy one now, and I'm surprised that I'm saying that. So let's first start off with your range test. You did the 70-mile-an-hour higher range test that you and I kind of do the same way. I think we're the only ones that really try to do the same range test. You were the first one to do it. I started doing it right after you. And now a lot of people are emulating us, but no one's doing it really the way we do it, I think, which is the proper way. Tell us about your experience with Cybertruck 70-mile-an-hour highway range test.
Well, thanks for having me on, Tom. Not my first time on State of Charge, hopefully not the last. And yeah, like you said, we are always doing content together. So I had the Cybertruck Foundation Series all-wheel drive, which is sort of in Tesla world. It's the long-range all-wheel drive version. It's not the performance Cyber Beast. So in theory, this should be the big road tripper spec that I had. Also keep in mind that right now Tesla's only delivering the vehicles on 35-inch tires, the Goodyear Territory RTs, and it's a really cool tire, but it's a 35-inch all-terrain that is not built for range. Surprisingly, at least in the EPA cycle, I'm guessing the 5 cycle, but it could be the 2, and we actually can't find all the data on the EPA website at the time of this recording. But it's rated for 318 miles. So, okay, you and I both know only one time in history has a Tesla ever even gotten close to its, rated highway range. They're always gaming that EPA system, eking everything out. And so I knew it wasn't going to do 318 miles, but I thought, well, this thing's got a 123 kilowatt hour battery pack. It's going to go pretty far. My impression of driving around the city at low speed was it was actually quite efficient. We're talking high 300, low 400 watt hour per mile throughout the day. I'm like, okay, this isn't far off a Model X, and it's got a big battery. So let's see what this thing will do at 70. So testing procedures as always, juiced it up to 100%. Tire pressures were set when cold. Everything was ready to go. And I drove it until it shut off. Literally, screen went red. It put itself into park, and I went to 0. And I had a diesel truck on standby with a tow strap. We towed it super sketchy. Do not recommend how we towed this vehicle. But I basically, we were working with friends' equipment in Austin, and that's how we did it. And I did 54 miles, I think, plus or minus at 70. That let me with 490 watt hour per mile, which is like 2.0 something watt hour per mile. Or sorry, mile per kilowatt hour. And the the efficiency doesn't seem too bad, because the Rivians that I've tested are like 2.3, 2.4 miles per kilowatt hour, but those are on the road wheels and tires, and it's a little bit smaller truck. So I think we're in the realm of reasonable efficiency. It's just the Cybertruck was promised and hyped, and maybe even I hyped it up as the next step change in what an electric truck could do. This was going to be the one I was going to road trip everywhere and, go do the big long distance towing that I honestly need to do and do very often. And it's actually looking like it either matches or comes in slightly below all of the other trucks that we've tested in a situation like this. So it's not looking great.
Well, he did originally promise 500 miles, Elon, and we're obviously not going to be near that unless you buy this battery pack range extender thing, which we'll talk about later, which is pretty anyway. But I actually think it's less. You said equal or less than the other trucks out there. I've owned a Rivian R1T. I own a Lightning. I've range tested both of those, and they've done better than 254 miles. Now, conditions aren't exactly the same. You and I are always very cautious to say the only way to really test them is side by side, same conditions and all this stuff. But I mean, I went 275 miles with my Lightning. Now it did have the road tires on it, and then I redid a test with the BF Goodrich all-terrain TIAs, but it wasn't a 70-mile-an-hour test, so I can't compare that to it. But it seems to me that the Cybertruck is at best tie with the R1T and the Lightning as far as range goes. So that's a disappointment there. Now let's talk about charging. You did some charging tests. That might have been that might have fared a little bit better against those two with charging.
So I expected the range to do better than it did, and I expected the charging to do way worse than it did. There was so much noise online that this thing charges like absolute crap, and I was like, well, let's reserve judgment. Let me plug it in. I got to try all the stuff, and you've done extensive charge logging on both Rivian and Lightning. I actually have to do a little bit more testing on Lightning just to update some of our data, but ultimately, the 4680 cells in the Model Y, which was the first Tesla with these new cell form factor, just charges like garbage, really bad. I mean, maybe one of the worst charging EVs since the Bolt came out. I don't know. Like, it's not great. I mean, it has a big peak and then dies. So I thought, okay, 4680, Cybertruck's not looking great. Is this going to be a round two? And the Cybertruck does have an updated cell. It's a generation 2.3, was what some Tesla employee randomly told me at a Supercharger. He's like, oh, the battery in your truck's from Fremont, and it's a Gen 2.3 cell. Okay, well, if you say so, you're the one who logged the truck up. So it's a different cell than Model Y. We knew that going into it anyway. Except it follows a very similar curve to Model Y when you look at the C rate. So my guess is, and this is just a guess, is that Tesla is, even with the charging performance now, very, very conservative, and then we'll open it up over time. But Tom, you're the same as me. We can only review what's in front of us. And until Tesla updates the curve, this is the curve. It is what it is. And it holds full power, 250 kilowatts until 25%. And then at 25%, it takes a nosedive every time, regardless of cell temperature, and then just kind of whittles its way down. Now, I have some charging graphs on the Out of Spec website that are kind of interactive. So you can compare the charging curve against the other vehicles that we've tested. And it actually, it does have a fairly good peak. It's just that middle section of the curve that's quite weak sauce, but it actually top charges better than especially Rivian. And so I'm hoping with some software updates they can dial this in a little bit more. What's your thoughts on the charging?
So yeah, it's interesting how I was expecting to follow the same curve as Tesla's, where he pulls the full amount and then just slowly ramps it down. But one of the things comparing it to my Lightning that I'd be interested in trying, Kyle, is plugging in at 25%, like when the Cybertruck is going to be start ramping down, and then compare it to a Lightning plugged in at 25%, because you get that boost no matter when you plug in with the Lightning. And I wonder if the Lightning would get to 80% faster than the Cybertruck if you plugged in at 25 or 30%, because you're going to get that 8-minute boost of like, a pretty high amount. And then it's going to hold like 120, almost all the way to 80. I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, I think it's going to be close either way. But as it is, I agree. I watched what you rate. It does charge better than a little bit better than what I expected. It does charge better than the Lightning. I didn't really compare it to my Rivian testing. But as we know, Rivian really, the R1T, R1S really tails off at like 70%. So you almost have to see from 10 to 70. Would a Cybertruck beat a Rivian?
Yeah, it's hard to say because they're all roughly the same size battery, but the Rivian has the largest. I think it's 131.5 kilowatt hours
right?
usable. Yeah, it's 135 gross. Yeah, 131 usable. What's the Lightning usable?
Usable on the Lightning is around 128, 127, 128. Okay. I think I only have I have like 124 now. That's if I run it dry, but I've got 20, I don't even know, 18,000 miles on it, and I've DC fast charged it a lot.
Your truck has been through a lot.
Yeah. I mean, and it was only for testing because I don't really go on a lot of road trips like you do. So for me, all my DC fast charging, except when I went up to Canada, is really basically just to do all these tests. And I did, at least 20 times I charged it from like 0 to 80 in all different conditions and everything. But anyway, let's get back to Cybertruck. So, okay. That's, and what does Cybertruck have? I should know this, for home charging. What's the level 2 charging? Is it 48 amp or 80 amp?
It's 48 amps, and I maybe just because your audience will kind of find this interesting, and I'll rip through it really quick. But the Cybertruck can only charge, the fastest thing the Cybertruck can charge on at the time of this recording is a version 3 Supercharger. It does not accept CCS charging, which means it also doesn't support NACS, which is really funny to think about. At least based on my testing. I have to do some more interoperability testing. Yeah. It does not allow it to CCS charge. As soon as we activate it, it just goes instantly unplug, not possible. So it's just, it doesn't allow it to charge at all, unfortunately. We activate the session through payment. As soon as that's done, I guess it initiates some communication and then no more. But like you would think Tesla would do that.
So I saw your video. You had to remove the wheel housing because a CCS adapter won't even fit.
I think that's actually smart because the CCS adapter is only rated for 500 volts from Tesla. And when the Cybertruck is in series mode, it goes up to 820 full. So you're way out of the operating range of that CCS adapter. So I think Tesla is going to release a new adapter. They have to anyway for third-party vehicles. And it's going to be 1,000 volt rated with a longer interface to fit with Cybertruck would be my guess. And then I think they'll open it up. I think it's actually kind of safer that it doesn't fit with the current adapter out today. The last point is the Cybertruck on version 3 Supercharger, just based on this flat ledge of 250 kilowatts, it seems like it can take more. It seems like when we do hook it up to something more, at least at low states of charge, it should do, according to Tesla, 350 kilowatts for a short peak. And then at least with today's C rate level, it should come across that 25% at 250, something like that.
Yeah, but even with that, Kyle, it seems to me, and I don't mean to be down on Tesla so much, that the 4680s just didn't deliver what we were promised they would, and maybe future iterations will. Maybe they will be that groundbreaking cell that takes us leaps ahead. But we all saw Elon on stage talking about it, and it was just like, this is Tesla, this is innovation, this is how they're beating everybody. They just came out with something that is just worlds better than everybody else. And now, we're really seeing it really isn't. The structural part of it is innovative, but the cell itself, it's really not better than what's out there for other vehicles, right?
And in fact, it might even have been better if they used 2170s in it instead of 4680s. I'm not a cell expert in terms of thermal management or tabs versus tablets or, how the cans connected to each other. But ultimately, from the user experience side, it's not the step change we thought it was going to be compared to, like with your Lightning, as an example, if you switch to a Cybertruck, you will have almost no benefit. Your daily usability will not change.
It will change because I won't have the frunk that I freaking love. That's my daily usability.
Yeah, I mean, the Lightning is great from a space efficiency standpoint, but I mean, terms of
Yeah.
range and road tripping time and towing time. I think
Yeah.
they're going to be very similar.
They will be, even though the towing was supposed to be was supposed to be 14,000 pounds, and coming to production now it's 11,000 pounds. Another slight disappointment. Same with cargo. It was supposed to be 3,500 pounds and it's 2,500 pounds. Still both good numbers, 11,000 pounds, 2,500 pounds. But the whole overpromise, underdeliver is like with the opposite of what we see from the other companies. The other companies come out and give you stats, and then as you move to production, by the way, it has 20 miles more range. Oh, and it's going to be faster. It's like Tesla has the opposite, strategy in any event. So let's move on. Overall quality of the Cybertruck. Everybody talks about quality. I know it's hard because it's really one of the first ones that are off the line. The quality should have been fantastic because I'm sure they were all like hand built and inspected by Elon himself. But what did you think about overall quality? A lot's made of Tesla quality.
So overall, to me, way better than I expected, actually. So just in terms of interior fit and finish, was really nice, but it wasn't perfect. Like a German automaker would not let a car leave like this Cybertruck left. But for Tesla, it was way better than my Model S Plaid, which cost way more money than this Cybertruck. It had a door rattle when you close the door. And I just spoke to the owner of that truck, my friend Ben, today, and he said they have to replace the entire door to fix the rattle, which then it's like, is the steel going to match up? And, the middle seat latching point wasn't so great. So the armrest wanted to come down, or at least felt like it wanted to come down before you could hit the latch. But, body fit and finish, the actual like panel gaps, the interior build quality, other than those two little things, the tonneau cover was really great. Truly great, and way better than I would have expected.
And how about the driving dynamics?
Oh, they're so cool. Driving this truck is like, it's like both great and terrible at the same time. So at low speed in the city, it's so fun and nimble. You got all the power on tap. And again, I was just driving the dual motor one, and you have the steer by wire, which means you can put in a tiny amount of input and whoop, you're going over here. Then whoop, you're going over here. Very video gamey. Honestly, it feels almost as agile as like a Model 3 just driving around. It's crazy. Yeah, it's big, but the rear steer helps a lot. And the rear steer is only 3 degrees right now, but it'll open to 10. On the highway, it's smooth, but it's not lightning smooth. It still has an edge of performance character that the Lightning definitely doesn't have, but it's also like doesn't have this massive range of adjustability of the Rivian. That's one nice thing I love about the Rivian is I can make it like a Lightning and then I can turn it up into a sports car. The Cybertruck can do that, but it's just in smaller windows. And the biggest bummer about the Cybertruck, at least during our time with it, was no autopilot. No, it had adaptive cruise control, but it didn't even push you in if you hit a lane. Like if you were going off the road, it would beep at you, but it wouldn't manipulate the truck back in. So I'm thinking it must have something to do with the interaction of autopilot and steer wire, because that's a critical safety, service of the vehicle, which is pushing you back in. It was not enabled. It will come through software, but again, we can only review the truck when we had it. And, as it improves, we'll make update videos. And then in the performance category, which is where the Rivian shines on the back roads. I mean, you can dial that truck up and turn traction control off and have fun. The Cybertruck chassis was awesome. Really good. Very stiff. The suspension felt great, but the steer-by-wire was a bit awkward, and the stability control systems were far too intrusive to have any fun. Does it matter in a 6,600-pound truck? I don't know. To me, yes, and I'm a buyer who cares about this stuff, so yeah, that matters. So basically what I'm trying to say is in anything except city urban driving, it's either going to be the Lightning for the long distance cruiser with the Blue Cruise system, which is great on the highway, hands-free, or Rivian for performance would be my recommendations.
Yeah, and I can't wait till my Lightning gets their Blue Cruise 1.2 update. It's supposed to be soon, but it was supposed to be soon 3 months ago. Hopefully Ford gets that together and get me 1.2, Ford, because I drove it in the Mustang Mach-E and I loved it. So let's see. So listen, Kyle Connor gets to own one electric truck. Cybertruck or Lightning, and the version of the Cybertruck you have now. We're not talking about the Cyber Beast. You haven't had an opportunity to drive that. Look, the Foundation Series dual motor that you have now, or a Platinum extended range Lightning. Which one do you take? Price doesn't matter.
I would
For
take
your
the
daily,
Cybertruck.
you got to drive this every day.
Yeah, Cybertruck.
Okay. So Foundation Series Cybertruck, Rivian R1T, either dual motor or quad motor. I think you like dual motor even more than quad motor, but
Yeah, it
either
depends
one,
on the day.
either one loaded.
Damn. I don't actually know. They're so, because I like that the Cybertruck doesn't overheat while charging, where my Rivian's always overheating. That's a big one.
Mhm.
If the Cybertruck never got autopilot, I would easily go Rivian, because lane
Yeah, but
centering
it's
on the
going to get
highway.
autopilot. You know they're going to make it work eventually.
Yeah,
You know?
if you park them next to each other. So I just did a video. I did this comparison video, and I said I would take the Rivian, but I think I would actually take, at least right now, whatever it is, 7:55 p.m. on a Friday, I'd take the Cybertruck.
Okay.
But it's so mentally for me, they're too close.
So you're saying, you know, of the 3 electric trucks out there now, your favorite is the Cybertruck.
No, my favorite's the Silverado EV.
It's not out yet.
Well, they just delivered 600 Caltrans, and a dealer got them. So
yeah, okay. Oh, they do. Okay, I haven't seen anyone around here. So okay, so I forgot to ask you that question. So you just answered it. So you know, Cybertruck over at Lightning, Cybertruck close one though over R1T, Silverado EV over Lightning. Okay, I'll throw another one out yet, even though it's not out yet. The Ram with the range extender.
Well, honestly, I'm not a Ram guy. I've never been a Ram guy, but I would take that range extender with the Pentastar V6. That makes it a usable truck. I'll live with all the Ram Stellantis stuff that just I never get along with, and I would take that range extender.
Yeah, I gotcha. Okay, so but it does sound like after saying I'm surprised you said you're taking over the R1T, but as you said, you're allowed to change your mind.
Yeah.
What would you improve on Cybertruck?
Yeah, video coming with the opposite response.
Yeah, so that's why we love you, Kyle. I'll ask you next week on the podcast, and you'll take the Lightning over the Cybertruck. So,
yeah,
but
sure.
That's this is a moment in time, which is it's still worth its weight in gold. So with all the things you like and don't like, your chief engineer, Elon, says, Kyle, I'm bringing you in here to improve this damn thing. You have any budget you want. What are you going to do to make the Cybertruck better?
I'm putting another battery in it on top of the current one. Double stacker.
You're going the GM route. You're stacking it, and you're going to do a 200 plus kilowatt hour battery pack.
When I'm towing, when I'm using this truck, I mean, we're going into Colorado right now. It's going to be minus 18 degrees tonight. And if I was towing a trailer, which I had to leave I'm driving a Model X. I had to leave my trailer in Texas because I couldn't make it to where I was going with the trailer. If I had a Cybertruck, I'd be in the same situation. So I need double the battery, double the charging performance. And, I think that actually would solve everything for me. I mean, I sure the shape is not pleasing to my eye. I don't really care about what my truck looks like. I just want it to be functional. And that's why I love the Silverado so much, because I kind of don't love the steering of the Silverado. And it's just like, there's some GM-ness in there that I'm not into, but it's usable. And to make an electric truck usable, it has to have big ass batteries. And honestly, I wish Tesla would be like, okay, you know what? No, we've done the research. No one needs 200 kilowatt hours in the truck, and it's going to slow down production because we're cell limited. But just give me the $50,000 option to double the battery, whatever it is. Then I can actually use it.
Well, I mean, they're trying to kind of do that with the optional range extender battery, right?
Yeah, but Tom, that's dumb. That's dumb.
I'm not a proponent of it. I kind of chuckled at it. And Elon says it's only going to take up a third of the bed. The bed's not huge to begin with. It looked to me like it was closer to 40% of the bed, but I wasn't out there measuring
it's the weight penalty, and then it's the what the heck do you do with it when you don't want it in the truck? How does a person
how do you get that out? You must need like a crane in your garage, to lift it up and lower it back in.
And then it's like you bring it to the service center and you ask them to remove it. They're not going to keep it for you. They don't have any room. So then how do you unload it at home? It makes no sense.
Yeah, it's definitely an odd thing. But I think that was just kind of like Elon saving face and saying, I promised everyone 500 miles. You guys figure it out. Get me a version of this Cybertruck that goes 500 miles so I don't look like a liar, But, I think there's plenty of other examples where maybe he stretched the truth a little bit. And I'll take one of them. And I want to get your opinion on this. A video that just came out today on the Engineering Explained YouTube channel, which does an awesome job. If you guys haven't seen that YouTube channel, it's really worth watching. I mean, the guy breaks things down scientifically, engineering wise, and really proves things right or wrong. He doesn't just offer opinions. He has a whiteboard and he proves it. So I'm talking about Elon's claim during the Cybertruck event that they raced a Porsche 911. The Cybertruck raced a Porsche 911 while towing a Porsche 911, and it beat it in the quarter mile, Elon said. Now, first off, it was proven by before Engineering Explained took that one on that it wasn't a quarter mile. On that track, they raced on an eighth of a mile. And then Engineering went further to say that he doesn't even think the Cybertruck towing a 911 could beat a 911 even in an eighth of a mile. So what's your take on that? Why do you have to do that, Kyle? The truck's a great truck. Why do you have to make claims that are false?
Look, I can't speak for Tesla's lack of or marketing department or whatever they have. I don't know. Ultimately, I think it was kind of, I'm all for accurate tests, right? And so, like, first of all, they say they picked the one thing I noticed right when they played that video. I was standing there at the delivery event. Elon's in sight, watching this all unfold. And he's like, we picked this up from the Porsche dealer and took it to the track. And then I'm like, okay, well, did you break it in? And then I also thought, like, okay, well, why is the side marker white? It's not legal for Porsche to sell you a white side marker on the 911. So I knew something was up because they replaced it with a Euro side marker. So I'm like, did they Turo this thing or what did they get? I don't know. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Jason did the math off of the slowest possible 911 you can get, which is a manual 911 Carrera T 992 generation. And that's with the 7-speed, which isn't like an amazing gearbox, if I'm honest. And like, it's not the fast one. And even then proved that the Cybertruck was faster. Now, it is entirely possible that Tesla did not have an experienced enough driver to get the quick shifts in. And so what they should have done was hired one of the, testing guys from Motor Trend or Car and Driver to come over, one of the real, consistent high performance drivers to drive that car. So it's possible they gave it their best effort, but then I totally agree with the whole misleading quarter mile thing. I mean, as soon as I saw that, as soon as I saw that, I was like, this is just dumb. And to be totally honest, Tom, when I'm reviewing the truck, I mean, for better or for worse, you can criticize me for it or not. I don't take into account anything Tesla promised or said or marketed. The truck is just going to do what it does in my tests. And I try to evaluate it in my vacuum of here's a vehicle and I'll start my opinions as soon as I get my butt in the seat. And I'll forget anything anyone says about it because Tesla's not the only one. Not that I'm defending them in any way. This is definitely sketchy. But you and I have been to events together where we're like, there's no way they're telling the truth. And it turns out automakers are not always telling the truth, which means I ignore them all the time. And I'll just find the data for myself.
That's a good policy. And it's true. But it's just in such a public way, on stage, on TV, when we're at a press drive and, there's 20 people in the room and somebody says something, then we all kind of look at each other like that's not true. That's a little different than, 50 million people on a live stream, showing video of like your proof and it's easily refutable. Like anyone that's been to that track looks and says, that's the 8th mile point. That's it. That's not the quarter mile point. So it's unfortunate that, Tesla's doing a lot of things really well. I'm still a huge supporter of Tesla, even though I do criticize them frequently. I'm thankful that Tesla came along and dragged the industry into electric vehicles, because if we didn't have Tesla, we would not be where we are now with the other OEMs, because they forced all these companies to think outside of the box and to say we have to do things differently, or this guy's going to eat our lunch. And so, for as many things as they drive me crazy, or really Elon drives me crazy with some of the things he does, I'm so thankful that we have a Tesla, and they do make some great vehicles. You and I have gushed over, the Model 3, the Model Y, the Model S. I really haven't talked to you too much about X because I don't have a lot of experience with X, but the three of us love those. The two of us love those three vehicles. And it seems like you do like the Cybertruck. But I have to ask you this: is this Tesla's first dud? And what I mean by that is, I see you like the vehicle. Is this the first vehicle that really falls short of expectation in a lot of ways? Because the other vehicles didn't. They had their manufacturing problems, their quality, their defects, and all that stuff. But we knew that was going to be the case. But they delivered. Is the Cybertruck Tesla's first dud?
Well, look, as far as what you're saying about the company, I totally agree with. Tesla builds, honestly, some of the best electric cars on the road, but they're so slimy about it. Like, can they just stop with the BS all the time? And, all these weird sales practices and price adjustments and, over promising and under delivering constantly. It's getting tiring. It was tiring 10 years ago. It's tiring now. And gosh, I just wish they could be honest and I feel like when I listen to Drew Baglino or Lars Moravi, I think is how you say it, the engineers of this truck, I'm like, oh, okay, here's some dudes who actually engineered the thing. They're being pretty realistic. They're like, it's not bulletproof. It's just somewhat resistant. They're very level-headed. And I'm like, these are the people that should be presenting the truck that they created. And then we just don't get that, unfortunately, and it just turns out to be a disaster. So anyway, I totally am with you, Tom. Is it the first dud? I think objectively, yes. A truck is meant to work. A truck is meant to go long distance with towing and hauling, because that is a qualification that every truck has ever had in the U.S. That's what we're used to having. We're used to buying a truck for no limitations. And if you look at other $100,000 to $120,000 trucks out there, they have more equipment than the Cybertruck in some cases. They have heated, cooled, massaging seats. Some of them have Super Cruise, of course. We're talking big ranges and honestly a comfortable enough cabin to do the daily chores and work out on the farm. The Cybertruck is very much an urban assault vehicle that has some cred for working capabilities, but under certain conditions, and that not being a long distance application. You can tow across the country with the Cybertruck. I will do that. I will do the video. It's very possible. But when you start comparing it to a diesel truck that's got, 700 or 800 miles of range unloaded, and then 400 or 500 miles of range with 20,000 pounds on the back of it, which we're talking light duty trucks, not medium and heavy duty. So that's not a fair comparison. It just can't do that. So when they say it's the world's toughest truck, I'm like, what are you talking about? It's not. Maybe in terms of the body structure, it could be, but not in terms of what I need a truck to do. And so I think the Cybertruck is definitely a dud in that respect. If you look at it in comparison to other trucks, combustion or electric, in the pricing category. However, they're still going to sell every single one of them they can make. There's enough of a fan base. I still want one because, okay, it's freaking cool, but I'm also rational where I'm like, I don't do what I do. Don't give money to this company that completely lied to us for years about this thing and then fell short of expectations. That's one way to look at it. My way of looking at it is this thing's insane. It's from Mars and it's got, 800 or 900 horsepower, whatever it is. And it rips almost as fast as this Model X Plaid that I'm driving in the tri-motor one. At least they claim. I haven't tested it, so I don't know. But so there's many different ways to look at it. You spend your money where you're most happiest. And ultimately, products are an emotional decision for me to purchase, not always one born out of rationality. And the Cybertruck piques something in me that's this is just so insane on so many levels. I kind of want to have one. And I don't know if I'm going to buy one or not. Truly, I don't know. And it's very much leaning towards a no, because I love my Rivian. I already have that truck. And I honestly need to get a diesel truck is what I've learned through all of this.
Well, the Ram Charger might be your truck. So, even though you're not a Stellantis or Ram guy, that might be the one for you. The way I look at it is the Lightning was the first truck to come out. And it was really the electric truck for people that wanted it for work, not long distance towing. There's a lot of jobs, contractors and so forth that could live perfectly with the Lightning. The Rivian R1T was the adventure vehicle. It wasn't a work truck. It's made for people that are outdoor oriented and want to have an adventure. The Silverado came out now, and that seemed like it's a better Lightning. It's a personal vehicle. It's a work truck that can do more than the Lightning. The Ram Charger is probably going to take that to the next level. But what is the Cybertruck? Is it just a shiny toy? like I don't think you're going to say it's a work truck. It could do some work. I don't think you're going to tell me it's an adventure vehicle like the R1T. What is it? Like, what's the category for, like, who besides influencers and people that just want the latest shiny toy, who buys a Cybertruck?
That's tough because I live in that influencer YouTuber world where I'm like, it does obviously amazing in terms of views because there's so much interest in it. So of course there's a business case for me to get a Cybertruck, where there's probably not for a Silverado EV, to be honest. So I am a very unique case in that sense. The Cybertruck is for someone who wants to stand out, at least today. Now, what's going to happen when they're on every corner or when they produce a bunch of these? Is it going to be unique anymore? The answer is no. So then why do you buy the Cybertruck over the others? I honestly think it's steer by wire. I think it is the agility of the truck is unmatched. And for, I would say, most people considering a Cybertruck, we're not talking Wyoming folks here. I mean, there will be some, but many of them probably live in a Denver or in an LA or in a Minneapolis or something like this, where they probably have some areas where they could go and get out into the wild and then come back to their home or go out and do some work and come back. And I think that's where the Cybertruck is going to shine. It's got a NEMA 1450 outlet on it, which is great for power sharing. It has, of course, native NACS with supercharging, which all these vehicles will have. But that's a really prime advantage at the moment. And that's a very short-term advantage. And of course, Tesla's powertrain is amazing. Their powertrain, their tuning, the entire package with software integration. This is going to draw a lot of people to the truck because the UI is incredible. Really smokes all of the other ones. And Rivian's pretty close. Rivian's good, but when I got out of the Cybertruck and into the Rivian, I'm like, small screen, a little bit slow, not as bright or not as high refresh rate. I'm like, oh, okay, well, the tech people are going to like it. But Tom, to answer your question, it's not a work truck. And it's not a work truck. And honestly, the Lightning is probably the best electric truck for most Americans still, even after considering everything that's out there. When you're factoring in some of the price that's available, some of the used values, and how, my opinion, Ford totally understands how customers use trucks better than anyone, and then built a fantastic truck around it, just happened to be combustion, slapping a battery in that already winning platform. That was the right solution. And that still is what I probably would recommend to, like, 8 out of 10 people. I recommend Lightnings every day to people because I'm like, they charge reliably, repeatably. They have more than enough range for most people, way more performance than you need. And you know what? Most people don't care about software. That's what I've learned. Most older people. Yeah. And so if you're my age, if you're a techie, yeah, Rivian, Cybertruck, those are your options. But yeah, I love the Lightning. I recommend it to people literally every day.
So you know what? I can't believe I forgot to ask you before when I was talking about the trucks. Cybertruck or Hummer EV truck?
Hummer EV.
Okay. Because it's kind of the same class. It's a look at me. This is a crazy, out of this world vehicle that just is so stupid that it's great. That's kind of how I view the Cybertruck. Yeah.
Totally. Okay. I mean, 370 kilowatt charging. Yeah. Super cruise, crab walk. And it's just like, yeah, I mean, when GM Engineering does something cool, they go all out. And like that truck did wheelies. They had to limit it from doing wheelies. And it's just, Hummer EV is just crazy. And the craziest part was
far.
Yeah, it's got huge range, great charging. And like, it does, what was I going to think? I forgot exactly what the point I was going to make. But anyway, it's great off-road. And I like the Hummer a lot. It's got a little bit of that American excess, which is kind of hilarious, I think.
Yeah. And I was shocked with the range. I went like 300, almost 350 miles. I think like 345 miles in my 70 mile an hour range test. I did it in Detroit. And that was when Dom was driving behind me by like coincidence. How could that happen in this whole country? that was nuts. He was like, yeah, I was driving behind a Hummer EV in Detroit yesterday. I'm like, were you on Highway 84 or whatever? Yeah, that was me. That was nuts. But anyway, listen, Kyle, thank you so much for coming on. I think we learned a lot here today. I kind of summarized all your out of spec videos and put them into one little video, and it goes up on my channel. So I owe you one.
Yeah,
Thanks
happy
a
to
lot.
do it. Our content's way too long, so this is digestible, and now everyone can skip our super long videos. And honestly, they
No,
get the
no,
gist.
go watch all his videos. They're worth it. I watched them all. It's so entertaining. Kyle makes these super long videos. I mean, I'm saying he makes long videos. I make hour-long charger reviews. And I'm saying his videos are long, so
Yeah,
you know how
yeah,
long they are.
yeah.
But in any event, people seem to like when we go on and on and on talking, and it's working for the both of us. So we'll just keep talking and making these stupid long videos that everybody on YouTube tells us is too long. Make shorter videos, you'll get more views, but we seem to be doing okay. You're doing better than me, but we're both doing okay.
Yeah,
Thanks a
we're working
lot
on
for
it.
coming on.
Yep.
This was a lot of fun, Kyle, and I'll see you in a few days on our next podcast.
Yeah, sounds great. See you on the Batteries Included podcast. Thanks for having me on. See you guys later.